Alright, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to 𝔸𝕓 no Frieren, episode 9. I think we're almost caught up to the entire thing now. I mean, at least from time frame. You're not going to see this probably for a couple of weeks, but I'm kind of slowly catching up with the episodes, and I think this is the most recent one that's out. There should be a new one coming out in a couple of days, but yeah, I'm kind of caught up. So let's quickly go through and bam, get the episode on the screen, the last episode, and we're going to talk through that a little bit. What happens? 𝔸𝕓, our boy, was very cocky, very cocky. That is one thing that I'm very that is very distinct throughout all the demons that we've met so far. They're very cocky. They're very they're overestimating themselves often enough. They're being very spiteful as well. So there seems to be a lot of emotions, like negative emotions, going on in demons. So I do wonder if what we're seeing here is actually demons being more or less a representation of what negative emotions and effects and states our human beings can be in and can be led by, and negative personality traits and whatnot. And obviously some of those negative personality traits often have the connotation of actually also being functional and getting you on in life. For example, there has been a long time, there has been a lot of speculation about what the dark triad of personality traits, in which capacity they are connected to success in jobs and in academic careers and whatever, right? Do psychopaths or narcissists make good leaders, make efficient leaders in hierarchical structures and whatnot? That has been a field of study that people have, or psychologists have been dealing with for a long time. They've looked at stuff like psychopathy, narcissism, and Machiavelli. I think Machiavellism is how it's called. Look it up. It's the dark triad. That's an actual term within the research field. But yeah, I actually wrote one of my papers on that, and we did actually kind of look at the general correlations between psychopathy specifically in relation to success at the workplace, and we did actually find out that there's not a lot of connection, that we have some slight negative correlations between them. So actually, if you're a psychopath, surprise surprise, your success in your job is probably gonna be less on average. We're always talking on average in the broad population. On average, less than that of a standard normal person, than that of the average person that doesn't have these negative traits. We did also see that parts of narcissism can actually have some positive effects here and there, but it's very, very minor, and it wasn't my main subject. I was in the group for psychopathy, while some other students, some colleagues of mine, were actually in the group for narcissism. But yeah, that has been stuff that people have been wondering about, and there's certainly specific situations or specific environments or excuse me, specific situations or specific environments in which these things can be of use, at least temporarily or in the short term. In the long term, at least so far, I would say the literature suggests that there is a rather negative connotation, a negative effect of these character traits in relation to success at the workplace or success in general, depending on how you define success. But I wonder if this is kind of like the stand-in that we're trying to do here on a narrative level, that we look at demons as something that evolved to be highly devious and manipulative, but we try to highlight the upsides of being manipulative at the same time as like highlighting the downsides, of course, and whatever the problem is. And in this case it would be Upers, of course, right? You are very convinced of your high skill, which might be true, but you're often underestimating your opponents or overestimating yourself. That is a thing. I think many of you have already heard about the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? It is the effect that skilled experts in the field often tend to underestimate their own skill, and people who are not as skilled in a certain field overestimate their own knowledge base, their skill in that specific field or in fields in general. So there's certainly like connotations that go into that general area, but also we did hear Lugner's rant last time about how he despises geniuses because they didn't put as much work into and as much time into practicing what they do, and how demons are kind of spending their entire life specializing on one special thing, or kind of like a one-trick pony, right? So one theme and question that we have to ask here is also, what is better, the genius, or not the genius, but the very skilled person in one field, or the jack of all trades, master of none? But as a jack of all trades, you're very adaptable, right? And that is a very important thing, both in nature and in each and every one of our daily lives. Every species, every animal, every human, in some way is reliant on being adaptive to their specific environment. A plant that only grows in a very specific, very narrow environment is not going to thrive as much as a plant that can adapt to different heights, to different air pressures, to different compositions within, like gas compositions within the air, different humidity levels, different climates, different temperatures, different compositions of nutrients. And the same goes for social situations as well, and also for skills and combat abilities in this case. So I do wonder if this is maybe a central weakness of demons, that they specialize in one specific thing. And we do have Frieren, who spent her entire life collecting every little spell. And if you look at the specific individual spells, we have seen that in the past. We have talked about it within the show. Fern asked Frieren, why are you learning this spell? It's absolutely useless. And yeah, there can be sentimental reasons for that, like with the grapes and Eisen. But there can also be reasons that you can't foresee down the line. We had the discussion and kind of vaguely joked about the spell that can only eliminate or dissolve clothing. But if we go beyond the haha funny anime, hentai, tropes, whatever, we do actually get into the actual usefulness of that, which is something I think even Frieren mentioned in one of the episodes, but she got interrupted before she could finish her sentence, which was that if you dissolve the clothing, you can suddenly identify any hidden weapon that a person might have, without actually dissolving them or attacking them or hurting them in any way, shape or form. And just as there's probably a lot of little odd spells that you can learn that might be useful in unusual situations. That is one of the main reasons why it's so much fun in a D&D campaign. Doesn't matter if you're going Pathfinder or 5e or whatever, or if you're one of those old school people who are going back to the completely old D&D versions. But that's why it's so fun to be a wizard, because the wizard is not somebody who learns a specific amount of spells and then can use them at any time if he has spell slots, but the wizard is somebody who prepares spells. That means you need to kind of plan ahead and know, today I might need this and that and whatnot, and you might miss out on specific opportunities, but you have such a vast array of spells that you have in your knowledge base that you can swap out on a daily basis. that you are really a very versatile person within your party and also can do a very variable amount of things. So if you're feeling like doing more of a role play thing today, you can be like, hey, I want to have fun meticulously describing the specific spell I weave, or the specific familiar I just created, or the specific action I had planned, or a prank I'm gonna play on my party members or whatever. And on another day, you're gonna be like, okay, I feel like we need to like go down. We need to slay some people. So I'm gonna stock up on all those spells that give me really high Nova, high damage potential, and you just bomb everything away, right? That's the cool thing about playing something like that. And if we transfer that to the obvious to the show here, I do think that Frieren collecting all these little spells has certainly gives her a vast repertoire of adaptability, vast range of adaptability in which she can move, especially if she's a quick thinker, which we do know she is, at least on a strategic level. And also, we do have our 𝔸𝕓𝕠𝕦�╗ lore being dropped last time with Frieren the Slayer, having actually modified 𝔸𝕓𝕠𝕦𥬗 specifically to hunt demons, which on the one hand is very interesting because there seems to be some real some real resentment, or at least a strong focus on actually fighting demons, which is not surprising though, because Frieren was part of the party that had to defeat the Demon King, so obviously she would somewhat specialize on that. But I do think that the versatility of her spells and the fact that she has collected a lot of different spells maybe enabled her to kind of tinker spells together and slightly change and modify their function in a way that a mage that might have just focused on one specific thing, like the Qual, our demon who made 𝔸𝕓𝕠𝕦𥬗 and perfected it and refined it, might have not been able to actually modify 𝔸𝕓𝕠𝕦𝕗 in the way that Frieren now did. Fern was completely unaware, obviously, of the hard work that went into modifying 𝔸𝕓𝕠𝕦𝕗 to the way it is, because she deems it just a normal spell, which is fine. I think, though, that Frieren might have some communicating and teaching to do here, and she should maybe explain to Fern why this is different, but we might be exposed to that once we actually fight with the executioners, with the two that are left, and and Fern might realize that that there's more to it than just learning spells. You also have to think about how you can change them, how you can adapt, and whatever. But I think I still have a couple of things I want to talk about. Frieren the Slayer. I want to see her slay some shit. Not gonna lie. This is very exciting for me. Stark overcoming his fear once again, having learned from his past experiences. Very good. I absolutely love it. Flam and this little barrier. One thing I wonder is if Flam made the barrier. If this what we see here with the little plant is actually an example of how she makes these barriers, or if it actually is the barrier that later grew into this large giant thing that we see here now that the demons want gone. So I do wonder if that is actually the barrier, if this barrier is connected to this plant, and if this plant at this point evolved into a giant tree, and if the tree is destroyed, maybe the barrier breaks down or something like that. And the reason why Flam, the genius, was very connected with magic, connected with nature, managed to create something so powerful was that she was kind of tying it to actual life. Because a tree, we know trees are some of the most long-lived species, long-lived plants, long-lived living things on our planet. There are trees out there which are thousands of years old, and they're very strong, and they have a lot of roots that go very deep and very... And there's a lot of mythological elements that connect us to trees as well. I do think about Tolkien with his the living woods kind of thing, where old willows that have some kind of deep resentment in them lure travelers in and try to bury them, sap their life strength away, and trees have magical powers and are living things that feel you and interact with you in a way. And there's been a lot of fantasy stories that are similar to that, so I wonder if there's some kind of connection that connects this very sapling that we do see here. And it would make sense from a standpoint of the little sapling, the little strength growing into something very, very powerful across centuries. And we do have the direct dialogue here of Lügner despising geniuses, because there's not as much effort going into as he has put into, but I think he underestimates the effort that even geniuses have to go through, because obviously geniuses are geniuses or talented because they learn things faster, but that doesn't mean that they don't put effort into what they're doing. They're just competing on a different level. I do think that a lot of hard work can get you very far, and talent can kind of shorten that road. But I also do think that it is the combination of both that you need to succeed in any certain field. And I don't think that geniuses necessarily have it easy. There's a lot of other troubles that come with being a genius, quote unquote genius, because obviously, how do you define genius? Do you define it through a high IQ? Or through what do you define it? Normally, these days, if we define somebody who is highly intelligent, somebody who's very talented, I don't know the English term for it. We do like the people who go to like Mensas and whatever, who have an IQ above 130. The IQ itself above 130 is kind of the one measurement we take, where there's also the measurement of how motivated are they to show to perform, right? How motivated are they to perform in a specific field, or to show some kind of inclination for creating or working in some specific field. That is how you define genius in general, because it's not enough that you have the IQ. You also need the other component. You need the motivation to actually follow through with it and make something of it. And there are people who do have the IQ but lack the drive. So it's very interesting. I do think he kind of doesn't quite understand how much work goes into it, even if you are a genius. But I do understand the sentiment of being, I worked hard for something and somebody else might not have had to put as much effort into it, and it frustrates me. But that shows to me that demons also have feelings, right? Beyond just normal fear and aggression. They might be differently inclined than we are, have different temperament, maybe have even a different base in terms of their emotions, and they might be unable to properly empathize with us as humans, but they do seem to have their own struggles, frustrations. That's kind of our way in, isn't it? But anyway, what I'm expecting, Stark slightly doubting himself and then getting his resolve. Stark and Fern working together. I would really love to see that, them becoming a better team even in combat and growing closer through that. And also, I would expect Frieren to sweep the demon army away and just fucking go. I kind of feel like the stakes aren't as high. The stakes are, for us, the stakes in the story, because we need stakes, obviously, to be involved, to not feel like this is easy and it's boring and whatever. The stakes for us are, Granatier, is he gonna survive? How much of the city is gonna get destroyed? Can we save them? Is the barrier gonna go down? Are people gonna be hurt? How will Frieren, Stark, and Fern feel if they can prevent people from getting hurt? That is a very interesting question. Will there be a twist where Frieren shortly will be kind of in trouble, but then overcome it again, of course? will 𝔸𝕠 or Fern get hurt? These things are our stakes, basically. I do think that Frieren herself is outside of her stakes. For Frieren, in this story, our stakes are 99% emotional. It means how does whatever happens affect Frieren on an emotional level, and how will she act and how will she be going forward. That is what matters for us in terms of Frieren, because I don't think anybody in the story, anybody in the audience doubts that Frieren can master any situation that comes at us. As being a legendary hero, as being alive for thousands of years, as being as experienced as she is, even more experienced than any other species like demons or whatever that came before, I do think that she's safe, right? But we do need stakes, so her stakes are emotional, but this is not her arc. Well, it is in a way, right? We recall back what happened and whatever, but it's not her main arc. Her arc is just at the moment exploring what happened in the past and how she's perceived by others. In this case, I said something along those lines at the end discussion of episode 8, how the demons perceive her, or how other humans perceive her. We've seen that a lot already. They idolize her, they adore her, they have a lot of respect for her, but that is what our stakes are for Frieren. I don't think we're gonna get out of this with Frieren being hurt in any way, shape, or form beyond maybe a single scratch or something, or being surprised for a second. But what is really still in the dark is how we get out there with Fern and with 𝔸𝕠, how they feel about it and how they come out of it. I don't think they're gonna die, but obviously there might be damage, there might be things happening that is problematic for them. Also, what's with Granite, like I said, and how are the people of this town gonna fare, and what kind of story will that leave behind once Frieren and the party are gonna move on. But yeah, you know the deal. Quick cut. Then we're gonna get into the next episode, which is gonna be episode 9 of Frieren. Very excited. I also did just see that there's like cold open intro. Not cold open, but open right into the intro, so cool. Well, yeah. See you in the reaction. Hey, here we are. I'd say we just start recording right away, probably. There's no reason to wait. Right into the intro. Obviously, I'm gonna skip that one for the YouTube reaction. That was Aura. That was actually Aura. In the reflection of the staff. Still don't know who the night guy is. But I do know who our Graf Granite is now. Maybe the night guy might be Granite's son and he survived after all. Who knows? The glass crunch. How did you forget, man? How the fuck did you forget? Such an important detail. Also the terracotta army, dude. Here we go, Frieren. I better see some slaying. See, that's where you're making a mistake, dude. She's not a genius. Well, she might be a genius, but she spent a lot of time and effort to getting that skill together, so maybe you should spend a little bit more time understanding where the people that you despise and fight against come from. Maybe then you wouldn't be this arrogant and wouldn't underestimate them constantly. Bro's just built different. It's interesting though, Frieren could have name dropped, but she didn't, once again. So, they know each other. Oh, interesting, she has the like, how do you call it? The scale, like the symbol, like some symbol of justice kind of thing. This has been like in a lot of mythologies, Greek, Roman, Egyptian. Is it as versatile though? Feels like an artist insulting somebody else's line, somebody else's work. Yeah, that's Kranot's son, right? Or at least his armor. Mind manipulation, okay. So is this our setup? But I mean, we know Frieren has a lot of mana capacity. And Frieren knows that, I think. So what did they do last time when they fought her? I mean, I know they were a party, but... Oh, and we go into his... Oh, alright, alright. We have a couple of strong-willed individuals here. Execution? She met her before, so... Countermeasure? Oh shit, she used to spell magic. OP. And here we see the difference again. The difference in perspectives. Also, that must have stung. I think you made her angry. It's time to fight. I don't know, Frieren trusts them, so I trust them too. And their strength. Shut up, Stark. There's no time for heroics. Boy! It's so over. Bro still doesn't believe in himself. Something tells me his plan isn't gonna work. And he's gonna have to fight anyway. Oh, she realized it. Yeah, I totally fucking forgot, of course. They were tracking them. Now they have the upper hand, okay. It's time to roll. Oh, does she have an imitation skill? How very unusual for you. I think that was your mistake though. Interrogation, is it? There's that arrogance again. Oh no, you don't want to be caught monologuing. You don't want to be caught monologuing, dude. Bro made the most basic mistake you can make. He didn't understand the game. I was like saying that last time. Okay, interesting. She's faster than her. More reflexes, I guess. Oh, I like the silence. Building the tension right before everything is released. She's learning quickly. Shit, 𝔸𝕓 is like... 𝔸𝕓 is badly hurt. I thought she was a mage, but maybe she's like a battle mage kind of person. No, doesn't mean she can't. Oh, the technique. I mean, he says his technique is greater than hers, but they exist on fundamentally different levels. Oh, the animation is going wild again. I think you're sniffing a little bit of copium here. Can you then really say that she can't keep up with you? She just helped her. She trained herself. I love how Fern is changing into Frieren mode here. You can see it in her expression and the way she reacts. She's in combat mode and she's imitating Frieren perfectly. Oh, he's fighting. He's a tough one. Maybe he's trying to exhaust her. Don't know if that's gonna work though. Or he's looking for an opening, I guess. Ooh, shit. So she's an imitator, I thought so. Adaptive in a way, but also technically also a one-trick pony. Not really. It's very versatile. It's a very versatile skill to learn. I guess it has to be. If you're specializing on one thing, you have to be very adaptive within that one thing at least. Alright. So she saw Eisen. She didn't fight him. She was young back then. Holy shit. Eisen v Eisen. Alright, this is how you're gonna win, 𝔸𝕓. You need to define your own style. Ouch, that looks very hurtful. He's gonna get up again, isn't he? He's still conscious. And the flashback. Alright. We keep getting back up. We're gonna tank this. Get up, you're not dead yet. She's getting annoyed. Good imitations, but it's imitation. A firework to kick it off. And he realizes again that what was standing in his way was his caution and his fear. For some people, that's just the case, right? And one lapse of judgment. One little moment, that's all she needed. And she got it. Right, no Frieren slaying was going on, but Stark and Fern slayed, so I'm satisfied. Stark and Fern with the sweep. Alright, good way to end it. We didn't see any teamwork, which kind of I'm a little bit disappointed in it, but we can wait for that. It's gonna come at some point. They complemented each other perfectly, and that's fine. Alright, again, not that much to talk about. Let's start it right from the top. Our standoff, Aura versus Frieren. We do have Aura, who seems to have the scale, the mana scale, the scale of control, of manipulating and controlling other people, and bringing them under their control. But apparently there is a possibility with strong willpower to resist, as Graf Granat recalls, probably of himself temporarily resisting Aura during the time they fought her for the first time. But we do see, once again, Frieren is confirmed in her beliefs for now. She has to fight a powerful foe who, although she is pretty convinced that she can beat her. And I am too, because the whole stuff about the mana capacity and the trade-off could very well backfire for Aura, even if Aura is of the opinion that Frieren has less of a mana capacity. That doesn't necessarily have to be the case at this point. We don't know how it develops. We don't have a system for it. So for all we know, in those 30 years it's been, Frieren could have vastly enhanced her capacity to and could have also modified a lot of her spells, as we saw in the last episode, to match disabling Aura's capabilities, and we did see that back then she was apparently just destroying and firing on the mind-controlled army, and Himmel kind of scolded her for it, and now she changed her approach. So I wonder what's gonna happen out of that approach itself. But yeah, we do set up the stakes. Aura is very hard to beat. She's very dominating. She does have that skill that lets her control other people, even though strongly willed individuals seem to be able to push through. But yeah, we do have the plan to confront our executioners. We don't see a lot with Frieren, just a reinforcement of her listening to Himmel and trying to learn from what he used to say to her, and kind of like maybe even look back on it during the time after he died. Because I think some of these developments might have been things that she only picked up and thought about and thought back to and tried to change after he already passed away, after she realized that she should have listened more to him and understood him more. But yeah, we do have like kind of a little strategy meeting. 𝔸𝕓 wants to go out and defeat the demons, and we do set it kind of up like a badass encounter, and we're gonna go there, we're gonna do it. But he's like, you know what, Fern, you go and take care of the city and make sure everything is all right there. And we have the little comedic moment of 𝔸𝕓 churning around full of resolution and then thoroughly disappointing everybody again with his apparent cowardice and his incredible ability to underestimate himself and his chances against people. What we do have here, it's pretty clear, is a young character who might have just started to learn about his capabilities and does not have the sense yet to properly estimate how strong or how capable he is or how enduring he is in relation to other people. Might not have had the combat or does definitely not have the combat experience yet to understand that through other methods than brute force, there can be options for him to win fights, and through making use of the characteristics of his enemies. And also, obviously, he doesn't know a lot about demons in general. He doesn't know a lot about these demons specifically. And in that capacity as well, he does not know how he can exploit the weaknesses of these demons properly. But we do have the thing that we forgot right away, or I forgot right away, that actually they still had blood on them, and Fern actually realizes that she's like, shit, there's mana on them that can track us, because it's been part of the demons, part of themselves, and that's what Fern apparently also knows about the demons, and they get the advantage. They ambush them and separate them, and we do have our mage, as Lugner suggested last time, our mage fighting the fighter, because her specific skills seem to be very fine-tuned for fighting melee fighters as well by imitating their moves, as we find out a little bit later. And we do have Lugner trying to take on our mage. I don't know if Lugner is a mage necessarily. He says he loves magic, so I do think he's a mage, but he's a very specific kind that fights more in the range of manipulating matter rather than sending out beams or whatever, right? He's manipulating his own blood to kind of hurt other people, and then it takes up shapes and helps him fight. I don't know how to properly assess that, but obviously it's very powerful since it seems to be holding up pretty well against his opponents. And we do see Fern, who is a little bit, interestingly enough, a little bit how she was as a child. As a child, she seemed very, very flat on affect. She, in my opinion, obviously is a result of her tragic past, of losing her parents and the war she experienced and being alone and all of that. So she, and possibly also just her character in general, right? It's not just our experiences that define us, but also our general temperament, as I keep saying. But also I do think in a way she's emulating Frieren, right? Because Frieren is very emotionless when she talks to an opponent, or if she is in a strange, in a threatening situation, or in a potentially threatening situation. And she's very calm and talks to him. And then he makes the oldest mistake in the book. He's getting caught monologuing. Like, holy shit, dude. You'd think that he would have died earlier if that's how he acted all the time. But I guess depending on the experiences you make, You just keep underestimating other people and keep overestimating yourself, and that is what, in my opinion, led to his ultimate downfall, because that is what opened up the chances in the first place. And once again, he does right. Not only does he get affected by his own emotions, proving once again that demons are have more emotions than we give them credit for. Which can in turn also be manipulated by humans then, right? They just have different emotions, they just have different associations, right? They feel different things in different situations. Have different proclivities in this regard. But yeah, he lets his emotions get the better of him, and he lets his pride and arrogance get the better of him. Even in this situation where he's been taught like twice that he should have watched out. He should have been careful and cautious, but he's not. He turns around and seeks the fight and thinks he has the upper hand, and doesn't understand why, despite the fact that his technique might be better, his mana might be more, much like Frieren's technique and mana are better and more than Fern's. But she's fast. She has fast reflexes. She's very quick in her thinking. And she's responding really, really quickly. And that's... He despises Frieren for her talent, but Frieren, that's actually mostly hard work, right? And a lot of time investment. For Fern, it's actually talent, I would say. I mean, obviously she invested a lot of time in magic, and he acknowledges that. Not fully, but he gives her that concession. She invested a lot of her life very early on, and I think that can improve and propel talent forward as well if you start very early. If you detect very early that a person is likes doing something and is very good at doing something, then obviously the more you support that, the more you teach them in that regard, and the more you support them liking it and doing it, the more they will grow at a much more rapid pace than some other people. So we do have that here. And we have our literal opposite, right? Our mage who, through imitation of movement of mana and whatever, can imitate fighters very well, but you can just imitate them. So she's borrowing the strength of others. And we do have our warrior who, in opposition to Lord 𝔸𝕠𝕦, that's why I said the exact opposite. In opposition to 𝔸𝕠𝕦, Stark here does not believe in himself enough, does constantly underestimate himself, is constantly on the verge of giving up before he's finding himself again in the lessons that he learned from Eisen and standing up again. I mean, the mere fact that he's standing up again is a very commendable and incredibly hard thing to do. Most of us in our daily lives, that the hardest thing to do is taking that first step, but almost equally hard is keeping up the energy and keeping up our stamina and keeping up our mental fortitude to keep getting up again when we're being knocked down. But that is the only thing we can do to move forward, because as soon as you lie down and you don't stand up anymore and you give up, it's over. And that is kind of the lesson we learn here. Don't be arrogant and overestimate yourself. Don't keep going into dangerous situations that might be more dangerous than you even realize, naively thinking or naively relying on your pride, which is based on, by the way, all the time investment you put into the things you do. Obviously pride comes from somewhere, right? You do observe that you're very good at something, or other people give you that feedback, or you do invest a lot of time into something and do have success doing it. And that is where the source of your pride is, but it shouldn't overshadow your good judgment of a situation. It shouldn't overshadow you being cautious. And at the same time, we do have the opposite, which is, but hey, watch out. Don't be too cautious. Sometimes being too cautious can lead you to fight in ways in which you put yourself in a situation where it's impossible to win. And that doesn't just... that obviously doesn't just apply to a combat situation, that applies to life in general as well. If I'm being too cautious and don't take the chances that I can, or if I don't risk getting hurt in the process at times, then it's very hard for me to move forward. It's the same thing with people who start retreating back into their shell because they've been hurt in the past, and that's understandable. They don't want to be hurt again. It's a self-protecting mechanism. But at the same time, if you don't go out there and risk being hurt every once in a while, it also means that you can't go out, that since you're not out there, you can also not experience any positive emotions, any positive things that could possibly outweigh or at least balance those negative experiences you made. And so you never get out of that negative thinking cycle, right? And that negative effect, right? Negative emotion breeds negative emotion. The negative emotion is already there. Avoiding to go out there and experience more negative emotion oftentimes does you more harm than going out there, risking experiencing more negative emotions, but also experiencing the positive emotions that come along. Because if you seek them, there will be positive emotions, there will be positive experiences of success, experiences of self-efficacy, and experiences of growth for you personally as a person, as a character. And I think that is what we learn here in our final moment when Stark stands up one last time. Remember what Eisen told him. This is how you beat them. You just keep getting up. And Stark, in this moment, sometimes like in another moment, this would have been absolutely foolish maybe, but he abandons all of his defense, giving his enemy the opening, risking that he himself might die as well, which again, he's underestimating himself, overestimating his opponents. In this case, he realizes, oh, she doesn't actually hit that hard. He couldn't have known that, but he took that chance, he gambled, and he won because he was able to get that opening and get the finishing blow. And yeah. And that is what makes Fern win, actually, because her losing, her being destroyed, actually gets 𝔸𝕠𝕦, distracts 𝔸𝕠𝕦, because it's completely throwing him off. He didn't expect that, and that small little moment of inattention or of distracted attention, where he put his focus away from Fern, was enough for her very fast reaction time to finish up the 𝔸𝕓𝕠 and finish him off, and with that sweep the game and get the W. But yeah, that's what matters sometimes. It doesn't matter if it's in life or in sports. If some of you are playing professional or like semi-professional sports in a team or even like solo sports, this is all that matters sometimes, right? Getting back up again, never losing hope, but also, right, judging the situation correctly, being able to risk something in order to gain something else in the right situation. You can't always risk. Sometimes you fall on your ass, and sometimes you fall harder because maybe you should have judged the situation a little bit better. But sometimes judging the situation too harshly, being too pessimistic, being too careful can also limit you and hold you down. And we won the game. I'm very curious about how Frieren is gonna finish up her stuff. It makes sense thematically that we start with Fern and with Stark and finish up their fight, their test, their big challenge, and then we go over to Frieren and for Frieren it seems safer that she actually gets out of this alive. But the question is, what are the stakes gonna be? Does she have to make sacrifices? Are there people who are getting hurt in the process? And that is still kind of the question I'm asking myself. And also, what does she take away from all of that? What does she take away from the moment in the end? And in which capacity can she reflect on that and use it for the future? I do still hope that there might be some deeper characterization for the demons. At the moment, they're an obstacle. They're a big bad. They're an evil, and they're not being further characterized. So in a way, they are a tool for the plot, which is perfectly fine. I just was hoping that maybe there was more to it. And there can still be that twist, but we'll have to see where this is going. Guys, if you did like this episode, I would ask you to please leave me a like. It it helps me a lot. If you do like my discussions, be sure to maybe, even if you listen to them as podcast or whatever, or no, actually that's not relevant. Never mind, I'm just rambling nonsense. But anyway, if you do like my videos, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. I am very eager to see where this journey is gonna take us up to episode 28. That's a lot of episodes that we still have left and a lot of places we can go. I do wonder if we're gonna end up at Aureole, or if this is just a step on the way and we will have a season 2 or something. That would be cool too. I'm looking forward to a lot of interesting shows in the future. ReZero, for example, where the season 3 was being announced. Although I'm kind of still iffy on how it's gonna turn out to be with the number of episodes, because Arc 6 is really big. I did actually read Arc 6 of the web novel / light novel. It was like the web novel translations, because those are the best normally. Currently I'm in Arc 7, so interesting. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one, but I don't know when it's gonna get announced, when it's actually gonna come out. So it could be next season, could be the season after. But yeah, I do wonder if Frieren is actually also getting a continuation. If we do have enough material for that, you could let me know in the comments down below if there's enough material for multiple seasons, or if it's probably gonna end where the manga is currently at. That would be a really cool thing to know. Other than that, check out my Made in Abyss reactions. I'm really enjoying this show as well. In Abyss, with all the mystery, with all the horror, with all the adventure spirit and elements. It's really, really cool. I do have a Patreon as well. You can subscribe to it. I mean, it's not a lot on there yet. $1 tier. I do have Discord. Join the Discord. It's down in the description down below, the link. Normally the link is like seven days and then it expires. I'll leave it like that because I don't want to have to remove the links every time out of like the description or whatever. But my latest video is probably gonna have a link for the Discord. So yeah, hope to see you there. Hope to talk to you there. It's a cool place. There's not a lot of people yet, but the more people join, the more fun it's probably gonna be. So you can also probably find me on the Discord of Pink Cube. So if you like to watch Pink, you'll probably find me there as well. You can shoot me a message if you want to ask me if I can give you a link to the Discord, if that's more comfortable for you. I do it however you want. Early access is, I don't know if it's up yet. I'm recording these in advance. Generally the plan is it's gonna be up. And it's gonna set in the first time somebody's gonna subscribe to the early access, and that's how it's gonna be. Other than that, I just have episodes in the back pocket that I can edit a couple of days before they go up, and then I'm like, hey, cool. But if somebody's like subscribing to the $3 tier for early access, I'm just gonna make it $3. I think $5 is too much. $5 is just for people who like have a lot of money and maybe they wanna throw you $1 more to down the line. I also have a 10 one, but that is like limited to one person per month. That's just for people who maybe want to suggest a series that I watch the first episode of, and if I'm interested in, I'll put it on the polls or maybe watch it dictator style at some point. But yeah, that's the general gist of it. Episode 10 is gonna be soon. Not sure when I'm gonna react to it. Probably gonna be half a week or a week until I get to that. Next thing I'm gonna react is gonna be Made in Abyss, since I did record episode 8 and episode 9 of Frieren back to back. But I do recognize that we have less and less to talk about here, which actually I'm kind of glad. I think 1 or 2 hour videos are very intimidating for people, especially if they just want to watch a reaction and get some quick opinions on everything. I know I'm somebody who is kind of talking a lot and elaborating a lot, and maybe also repeating myself sometimes a little bit. So normally I put these people on like 2 times speed and listen to them in the back, and I'm like, all right, that's really cool. Like, I don't know, Pink Cube or or Ed from Psychculturists or similar people that have very long discussions. I do really love to listen to these discussions, but oftentimes I just put them on higher speed and do something in the meantime, like editing or working on some university shit. But yeah, hope you're having a wonderful day or night wherever you live, and I'll be seeing you soon, hopefully.